I could not believe the amount of shaky cam that's featured in this film. I thought we moved past shaky cam 15 years ago because we just all decided as a collective, as an audience, as a species, that it was bad. But this film, for whatever reason, brings it back with such a vengeance that I just found it frustrating. Let's go ahead and move on to my review for Monkey Man. I know I'm probably going to sound like a broken record here, but I'm honestly getting sick, exasperated of the ridiculous fervor and hype that audience and critics attending film festivals keep just lauding on films that they've seen just way before anyone else. You know, as I always say, like what you like, dislike what you dislike, and I'm going to continue to say that till the end of time. But these organizers must pump something into these rooms to make people just lose their minds and make them clap like seals when they're watching these movies in these settings. And I think that was certainly the case for the absolutely atrocious 2024 remake of Roadhouse, which everyone said was an amazing action film. I don't think it was. Again, like what you like, dislike. I didn't think it was I don't think it was very good at all. And to a bit of a lesser degree with the overhype, but still solid, immaculate. And here we are again with another film that was being lauded, that was being championed as the greatest action film of the decade, with Dev Patel's directorial debut, Monkey Man. Not saying I dislike the movie, but just pointing out an obvious pattern with critics and attendees at film festivals, particularly with South by Southwest, because I have seen it myself. But before going into the details of what I liked and did not like about Monkey Man, a brief synopsis for you guys. A young man, most often referred to as Kid by those that know him, earns a meager living by fighting in an illegal underground fight club, but he soon learns of a way to infiltrate the upper echelons of his city's corrupt elite and vows vengeance for what they took from him when he was but a child. Now, we are very much living in the era of John Wick. I've said this time and time again. Though there are a handful of exceptions on occasions, most action films have been borrowing and downright stealing from the Keanu Reeves series for a decade now. Sometimes they do it well, and they're able to stand on their own, something like a Sisu, if you will. And other times, most oftentimes, they're not. Patel's Monkey Man is very much a heavily inspired John Wick film to a degree. Hell, I mean, they even make a not-so-subtle reference to John Wick in the movie itself. This movie, thankfully, borrows from John Wick in the best way possible, and that's the action and the fight choreography, when you can see it. So here's the thing. It's very obvious that Dev Patel is a very talented person. He's a great actor, and I've loved him in films like Slumdog Millionaire, which I feel like for a lot of us, that was our introduction to him, and also Line, which was a really underrated movie he did a number of years ago. And he definitely shows, I think, a lot of potential as a director. But you can tell he's very much a first-time filmmaker, because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that is sloppy. Not everything is terrible, mind you. You know, I know that sounds harsh. You know, I actually think there's a lot of great things about this movie. I mean, from its look, its production design, the exploration of corruption and discrimination in India, you know, which might be unfamiliar to Western audiences, such as myself. You know, it creates a great setting for just a gritty and nasty action thriller. Again, when you can see it. The cinematography in this movie, particularly in the first half, is downright baffling at times. And I could not believe the amount of shaky cam that's featured in this film. I thought we moved past shaky cam 15 years ago because we just all decided as a collective, as an audience, as a species, that it was bad. But this film, for whatever reason, brings it back with such a vengeance that I just found it frustrating. You know, I'm going to guess the choreography is pretty good in the film's first half because suddenly in the back half of the film, the second half, the camera is not just shaking all over the place. It's not shaking nearly as much, and it's steady. And you can see everything that's happening. They actually do some medium shots and some far shots. You can see the action, the actors, and the stunt people just, moving and grooving throughout these scenes. Like, oh, this is nice. Why aren't you doing this in the beginning of the movie? I don't know if the film's original cinematographer was replaced midway through. I looked it up, and it's the same person, so I was like, okay. Or Patel and his fellow collaborators and filmmakers just realized it wasn't working, so they just changed it up midway through. I don't know. But the first half of the movie was annoying me every time they moved into an action scene. But it improved dramatically in the second half, and the film really found its footing. And then I started to really enjoy myself. And I thought, like, wow, okay, here we go. Now I see what some people were saying about this film. But that first half, it did not sit well with me. I can tell, this movie, the culture and the things that it's commenting on are very close to Patel's, heart. And I do think he does a great job of showcasing the disparity between the corrupt, rich elites of India with the people who are poor and discriminated against. All of those things I feel like are weaved through the movie's narrative, through their characters, very well. And even the setting and the circumstances of it. And it does take time to slow down and have these conversations and build character. We learn more about Dev Patel's kid, his childhood and why he wants vengeance against the film's big bads, against the wealthy, corrupt elite of this city. Yeah, I got to say, though, the movie makes me feel kind of claustrophobic at times, despite the big, wide open setting that it's operating in. Patel opts to do a lot of close-up shots where it kind of just comes off being weird. Maybe he just wanted to make us, the viewers, the audience, just feel as uncomfortable as his character, as Kid is feeling in that. Before he finds his confidence. But I kind of wanted to see just more of the environments, since there's obviously a lot of vivid imagery and color in the background. Even just watching the trailers, you could tell it's like, wow, this has a wonderful color. I mean, it's India. There's so much life. There's so much stuff, going on in the background. It's always in motion. And he just opted not to show it. Now, the only thing I can possibly think of, other than he did it because he wanted to make you purposely uncomfortable, make us purposely uncomfortable, is because this was filmed like 3 years ago. This was filmed during the pandemic, and he couldn't film in the locations that he wanted to film in, so he had to film all this on an island in Southeast Asia. And so maybe a lot of those close-up shots were done to hide the fact that they couldn't have all these, huge crowds and things and have been filled. I mean, that's my speculation. I don't know if that's what he says. I don't know if that's been confirmed by anyone, but that's what I could think. And so maybe some of my complaints are, it's because they couldn't opt to film in these large urban environments because it's expensive and costs and just, the threats of the pandemic, of course. So it could be that. So it's that's fair. But I just kind of noticed it, and I know I'm sounding pretty negative throughout this review, but there is a lot to like about this film. Especially when we do get to that second half where just so much of it is clicking. It's really clicking for me, from the filmmaking and the action and Patel's performance. But I think half of this movie, the first half, it just has a lot of issues that prevent it from standing, head and shoulders next to John Wick or other John Wick adjacent films. Like, again, Sisu, for instance, which I feel like is one of the best of the John Wick-esque movies that's come out in the last 10 or so years. I am very interested to see what Patel is going to do next as a filmmaker. And I hope he hones his skills and becomes more confident as a director, and addresses just some of the shortcomings that I feel like are on display in this movie. I wonder if maybe if both acting and directing, maybe it's like too much, maybe just kind of pull back, just direct it and have like other people come in there. Maybe that would be a little easier. I think I wouldn't mind seeing that, because it's a lot of ones to both be that you're the not only are you acting the film, but you're the lead actor in this movie. That is a lot, especially for like a first time filmmaker, especially for such a movie that is this big and it has so much going on, in such a huge genre. So I don't know, but I have to admit I'm probably walking away from this not liking as much as some other people liked it. Certainly not the South by Southwest and Film Festival crowd, which lauded it. But there's a lot here to appreciate, and I think half of this movie is quite good. I think it just suffers from a very mediocre first half. But what about you guys? Those of you who have seen Monkey Man, what did you think of it? Did you guys love it? Were you more mixed like me, or did you downright hate it? Are you just tired of these John Wick films? We get a lot of these John Wick-esque films, and look, I don't think they're going to be stopping. I think the next back half, the 2020s, are still going to be filled with John Wick movies and John Wick spin-off films, and probably John Wick sequels, despite that character being dead. As always, please let me know.
5 minutes later.
Greatest trailer of the decade. We're like, the trailer for Monkey Man is, I was like, what the hell? This looks awesome. Right there with you. The trailer showed a better movie. Jumbo question one, Sisu. Sisu's really good. Sisu lives up to the hype, in my opinion. How long is it? Long. It's 2 hours. It could have been a 90-minute movie, to be perfectly honest. And like, you got to have like a good reason to be like a 2+ hour long action film. And this is, and you do feel it, especially in that first half. I think it's just under 2 hours, hour 53 minutes, and they could have probably cut out, 23 minutes. It would probably had a much better film, certainly better paced. But it narratively has more things going on in it than like your John Wick movie. Certainly the latter John Wick films of John Wick 3 and 4. It's just the action. It's just he goes from location to location. Action set piece, a brief dialogue that sets up the next action set piece, right? Like this one definitely has a lot more downtime. This has a lot more conversations, him interacting with people and him trying to infiltrate this place. So that's what makes it a little different, and maybe that affects the pacing. So if you're going in there thinking like, oh, it's just going to be Dev Patel action scene after action scene, it's not that. It's not that. Certainly in the first half. Let's see here. But Sisu's very good. I recommend Sisu. Does not waste your time. Apparently, the shooting got interrupted by COVID, so maybe they forgot how they were shooting the first chunk, and they were like, "Fuck it, we'll shoot it." That might be it. I'm glad then that it interrupted the filmmaking process, because it wasn't working at first. It really wasn't working at first for me. I was like, why is this suddenly an older Jason Bourne movie? Let's see here. Space Cowboy Tommy, I'll be honest, I didn't have that much of a problem with the shaky cam because I was still able to see what was going on. Although I wish I didn't sit so close. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, sitting close. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see here. Film Seals. Dev Patel went to Neil Blomkamp with his idea for the movie. Blomkamp liked the script, but said, dude, this is your movie. You should direct it, and here you can borrow Sharlto Copley. Yeah, Sharlto Copley is in the movie. He's not in a lot. He's there. It's kind of like a cameo. But he's in the film. Do you think the shaky cam was done for narrative reasons, to show the character going from unconfident to finding his confidence in the latter half? That I could see. Like narratively, like it serves that purpose. The problem is, like, I'm like, okay. The thing is, it's just still visually just not. It's not like great to watch though. It's like, okay, if that's the reason. It's like, okay, then he finds confidence and he's steady. Cool. But it's still the issue of, I would still like to see the action and know kind of what's going on and not having that camera all around the place. That's the thing. So That could very much be the reason for why it's shaking so much, but it's just not very entertaining to watch. Ace Rock, I'm so excited to see Monkey Man. It really is great to see a person of color directed and starring an action film like this getting so much shine. I hope it makes all the money. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it's going to do. The camera work, from what you've described, sounds very later Danny Boyle with the weird angles and close-ups and him. Oh, Patel obviously worked. Good point. Worked together before. Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire. You're right. It has a lot of those close-ups, and yeah, it's very similar to Slumdog in that way. So maybe he was trying to emulate that. Yeah, I mean, like the person that you probably looked up to the most, that really made your film career, I should say. Well, I'll be a Monkey Man's uncle. Feel free to kick me off the stage. No, not at all. Not at all. I'll never forget seeing Force Awakens in the front rows opening weekend. I felt my neck was going to break from holding my head up, moving it around to track everything the whole time. Oh my God, I can imagine. That's a lot at once. But yeah, Monkey Man, I liked it. I don't think I liked it as much nearly as other people have seen it. I was, I don't know. I did go into, I have to admit, I went into this film pretty hyped. I was like, oh, here we fucking go. All right. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's good, but not as good as I was hoping. I will say Dev Patel has a lot of potential. I think he has a good eye for aesthetics. And I like that he did incorporate more of a story into this action film as opposed to maybe like other John Wick-esque movies, right? Certainly latter John Wick films. So I still am interested to see what he's going to do next. If he's going to do another action film, cool, go with it. Just keep that camera steady, and I think we'll be golden. I think we'll be in a much better place. I mean, they could do a sequel. I don't know if they will. I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.